I would like to start by saying something I wish I had said in my spoiler review. I see a lot of comments about comic book movies now more than ever, anytime I talk about one, where if I criticize a goofy plot point or something stupid, someone inevitably says, "It happened in the comics." There is a reason things get changed from comic to screen. Just because something happened in a comic book does not mean it's like this untouchable, fantastic, holy thing. I'm pretty sure Mary Jane Watson was impregnated by radioactive Spider-Man cum at one point in a comic. Does that mean that's a smart decision to put on screen? No! Now that that's out of the way, I would like to start this re-review by saying I'm sorry. I think I was too harsh in my initial reviews of this movie. I do think that now. I've just watched Superman again, and I had a much better time watching it this time than I did the first time. My friends that are watching this video, it's not because of you, it's just I enjoyed the movie on the second viewing more. What I love about this movie after watching it the second time, and I did just say that love about it, this is not the movie itself, but rather in line with the movie. What I love about the movie is I do feel it's going to inspire people just to be a little bit nicer, be happier. After watching that then, I certainly felt happy leaving the cinema. The way it ends leaves me with a sense of, that was lovely to see, people say they love each other on screen and some hopeful Superman and smile. I do enjoy that, and I get that out of most of James Gunn's projects because at the end of the day, he's very good at being relatable on a human level and then projecting goodness onto humans. I think that's a message he puts in most of his films, and it's here most of all. Me personally, y'all know, I just said y'all. You all know I took some time off recently from YouTube, and that was because, in my private life, I've, dealt with a lot of stuff. I deal with a lot of stuff. And watching this movie, I find it touching because everything this movie tries to say is be a better person. And I love that because I try to be a better person every day. So for the efforts this movie goes to say that, I love it for that. I'm sorry if this is dramatic. I'm just speaking real right now. I love the fact that this movie inspires me to be just that little bit better. Because I think I said it in my F1 review not long ago. I'm a person that gets very frustrated with humans very easily. I'm kind of like Mr. Terrific in that way.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around, I'm doing important stuff.
Where I'm kind of like, come on people, let's use our brains. But then I make a conscious effort every day not to be like that. And if more people in the world could be like that, that's a good thing. Enough with the sappiness. Now is the part where I will just go over quickly what I need to apologize for that I think I got wrong in my initial review. And here we go. So the score, I said the score wasn't great in this movie, but I did also say the score on its own is pretty good. Now, this movie doesn't incorporate the score well enough throughout, I don't think. But in saying that, I'm wrong because there are scenes throughout this movie where the score does come in loud and proud, and it's fantastic. One example I can think of is towards the end of the movie in the final battle when Superman is fighting Ultraman. Lex Luthor's goons are flying in, Superman goes up, he lasers them. It's all in a trailer, you saw at one point. The music at that point is certainly awesome, and it's fantastic. But then, what I won't apologize for when I'm talking about the score, whilst that moment is epic and rather fantastic, it's so quick. This movie is so quick with its great moments. As soon as I'm starting to feel, yes, Superman, he's finally here, Superman gets tackled by Ultraman in a comedic wide shot and the moment's over. So you get fleeting glimpses of amazing filmmaking here. What could be amazing, but it's just too far between those moments for me to really say, yeah, it's amazing across the board. I think back all the time to Man of Steel, and here come the Man of Steel haters, whatever. The way Zack Snyder built the action in that movie and the scenes, they started quiet and built and built. And Hans Zimmer's score was like a percussive heartbeat that made your heart pound along with it. And things, it's like a rubber band. like James Gunn takes a rubber band, right? I've got a rubber band on my wrist. How about this for a good little visual? This is James Gunn. He'll take an action scene, an emotional scene, a tense scene, right? And he'll stretch it to about there. That's all James Gunn will give you. It's not very stretched out, not very tense, not very, pushed to its limits. And then he lets it go. He lets the slack come back in, scene's over. This is only for Man of Steel I'm saying this example because I think Zack Snyder is a pretty bad filmmaker at the end of the day. But for the scenes there, the emotional scenes, the weighty scenes, Zack Snyder, like that final battle between Superman and Zod, starts on the ground, goes into buildings, into space, finally in that train station. And the music doesn't slow down or stop. It keeps compounding. So it's compounding. And right now, that rubber band feels like it's about to break. And that is tension. That is how you build a scene. Then you let it go. Unfortunately, I think James Gunn falls back on his crux of comedy, which ruins what I think he's very good at, which is heartfelt, emotional, gripping scenes. I would also like to apologize for Lex. I said in my review that, what was Lex's plan? What was his motivation? He could have just killed Superman when he had him prisoner. True. But it is fact in the movie he's trying to question Superman on behalf of the US government. What I wish was that we actually saw the US government involved in this questioning. They give authority to Lex Luthor to capture Superman, but then it just seems like they go hands off and let Lex handle the interrogation as well. Knowing the US government, I don't think that's the case. So I wish the US government's involvement was a little more heavy-handed. As it stands in the movie, it's just a line. Oh, the US government needs these questions answered, Superman. I feel like Lex, being the hater that he is, would have just executed him anyway. That's what I need to apologize for. And now, to be a Superman myself, I'm going to start with the good, the unwavering good things about this movie. And number one is David Corenswet. The dude is Superman, okay? The dude is not the sexy macho man that Henry Cavill is. He's not the stoic Superman that Henry Cavill was. I know that, accept that, and don't care. I adore David Corenswet's Superman. His Clark, as rare as you saw him, is good. His Superman is incredible. He's lovable, happy, heroic, brave. Everything about I almost said Henry. David Corenswet's Superman, I think you cannot say a bad thing about. As I said earlier, the message of the movie, punk rock, being kind is the new punk rock. I love that message. I think the movie is uplifting. It ends on a very uplifting note. This time I walked out of the cinema going, golly, great ending, I'll say. And one thing that I cannot give James Gunn more credit for is he is saving sexy women. Call me a sexist, but Jesus Christ, between Creature Commandos, where even a Frankenstein woman had a big booty, this movie, there's that one lady in the Daily Planet with the big fake double Ds and the orange dress and the platinum hair. She's bouncing around. It's like, Jesus Christ. Lois, she's hiding something under those big baggy sweaters. And Eve Tessmacher, however you say her name, the one that's fawning over Jimmy the whole time. Good Lord. James Gunn, he's saving hot women. Call me a sexist down below. And the bad. I've taken notes. I'm going to try and get through this quick because I've probably been talking too long already. When the movie starts, it starts with this text on screen saying, 300 years ago, metahumans became a thing. 30 years ago, Superman came to Earth. 3 years ago, Superman announced himself. The way that first scene with the text is edited is bizarre because you've got the score and it comes in with this ding, every time the actual shot changes. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. So how do I explain this? The text comes up with a background of the snow, for one. Then the score hits, the edit changes to a new shot, a new line of text. And it does that for the first 3 lines of text. Then as that text crawl goes on, the music becomes quicker between the dong, dong, the actual moments in the score that are recognizable. And the text becomes quicker. Then sometimes the image in the background changes while the text is still up. It's just a bizarrely edited first scene of the movie. It stood out to me the first time I watched it, but this time I took note of it because I was like, I don't like the way it starts. They make a point of introducing these Superman robots in the movie, and they try to give them some sort of, personalities, but they're not really characters. Their dialogue is so expositional. Like he says, oh, I put your parents' message on. He says, number 4, which is the main robot, he says to another robot, he finds it soothing. Like, how long have these robots existed? I would assume since the fortress was built, and I assume the fortress hasn't been penetrated by enemies since it was built, because Lex is the first to do it in this movie. So why are there new robots being built that don't already know about this message that Superman finds soothing? That's a nitpick, I know. But here's an interesting thought I had. Because in the movie it's revealed that the Kryptonians, Jor-El and Lara, sent Superman to Earth to conquer it. It would have been a great little character thing if the robot number 4, who's like the leader of the robots, knew about the message, and he's the one that destroyed the message or kept it from Clark as he grew up, giving essentially the robot number 4 a hero arc of his own. Because then it could be revealed, or he could reveal it to Lex under duress later in the movie when Lex comes in. Maybe Lex interrogates robot number 4, keeps him the only robot that isn't destroyed, and says, I need dirt on Superman, whatever he has to say to him. I'm not writing the scene as I'm improvising right now. But something like that would have really made the robots, especially number 4, have a little bit more going on in the movie. I thought that would have been interesting. That wouldn't have taken up any more time in the movie. Would have been a neat little thing. A funny thought I had while watching it was when Lex opens the portal. He's got like this portal to his pocket universe in his office in Metropolis. I was thinking to myself, why does this look so familiar? And then it clicked for me whilst I was watching it this time. It just reminded me of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers 2 with the time machine portal in his office. The visual of that I found hilarious, and every single time I saw Lex in this movie in his office, I just thought about Dr. Evil. Zip it. Lex Luthor in this movie is almost the same character as Dr. Evil in The Spy Who Shagged Me. In my review, I said there's a guy that gets executed by Lex in the Pocket Universe, Russian roulette scene, right? It was actually the guy that was in like that had the hot dog stand at the start of the movie, the Middle Eastern fellow. But the way James Gunn shoots this character is terrible. That guy, he barely gets a proper close-up on himself. He's very... This is not me saying a racist comment, but he's not distinguishable enough as a character for the little screen time he has to remember who he is. I'll go, oh, that's the guy with the hot dog stand, when you see him later on in the Pocket Universe. So, like, you could have given him a funny haircut or a scar or a bright outfit, something to make us remember this guy. Because as it stands, there's a lot of civilians in this movie that you see in mid-shots. So he just doesn't stand out as a character. And back to my rubber band little demonstration earlier, that Russian roulette scene, they make a joke about it. Lex shoots the guy and he goes, oh, I thought that would go longer. But tension. There was no build-up, and then he just gets executed. For me, both times I've seen it now, it's just like, oh, that was abrupt and not a very well-directed scene. Exposition dialogue, especially from Lex's goons. Yeah, every line of dialogue from Lex's goons in this movie is exposition. You know, oh, Lex memorized 2,500 different combat situations, and that's how Lex knows all these different numbers to shout out. 1A, 2B, things like that. It's just like, I could have put that together. I didn't need that. And also, on Lex's goons, there's the one dude with the big googly glasses and the bowl cut. Why give that guy such a goofy look? It just takes away from the seriousness of every moment he's on screen. He's in the movie quite a lot, that goon. Every time he turns up, I'm like, who dresses like that? Give me a break. Those are the little things that James Gunn can't help himself from doing. This movie, I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. It's not a bad movie in my opinion. Do not misconstrue my words, people. But what it is death by 1,000 cuts. James Gunn, he does all these little silly things that overall affect the total product. Sorry if the camera angle changed. My light went off, had to just quickly charge it. What I was saying was the hammer of Baravia. I said this in my review. It's revealed to be Ultraman, right? Ultraman is mute and stupid. I said this in my review. I had actually forgotten how much the Hammer, Ultraman, spoke at the start of this movie. He's speaking to the citizens of Metropolis. He speaks back to Lex. So it is Ultraman. It's not someone speaking on behalf of him. You're telling me that Ultraman can speak at the start of the movie and put on an accent and fake being this different being? That's kind of unbelievable to me. And I do just have to say it again because it's just dumb. I said this in my review. The Hammer, he says, I'm going back to Baravia. He didn't actually say that, but he makes a big announcement. Don't mess with Baravia or I'll come back and beat Superman's ass again. He flies off, but he just flies to a beach 2 miles away. It's really dumb because the whole movie hinges on this sort of incident at the start. And it's like, you know, this thing, but fuck, who wouldn't have just seen the Hammer just go fly to that beach? And someone would have put 2 and 2 together. That's Lex Luthor's goon because he went to Lex Luthor's military base. I didn't mention this in my review, the Kryptonian reveal. So obviously, it's revealed that, yeah, the Kryptonians, conquerors, wanted Clark to come to Earth to conquer it. Bradley Cooper plays Jor-El. Fine. Another lady plays his mum, Lara. Fine. What I don't particularly vibe with is that the performances of both. Bradley Cooper looks like he's literally reading off cue cards. His pupils, his eyes constantly go like from left to right, like he's reading something. And they're talking about Superman taking multiple wives, conquering the planet, the humans are dumb, but he just sounds like he's having a very nonchalant conversation over a cup of coffee. You watch his performance, he's just like, you should just go to the planet and, you know, take multiple wives, maybe you can conquer the planet, the humans are stupid and blah, blah, blah. He just looks too calm to be speaking about such a massive genocidal subject. So I just think there was a miscommunication between Bradley Cooper as the performer and James Gunn, the director, because I feel like it should be a threatening moment when that second half of the message is revealed. And Bradley Cooper and the lady that plays Lara should appear threatening. My point of view would be to make them more threatening, whatever. It's just a nitpick. There's the one shot in the trailers, I wrote this down, you know, where Superman saves the little girl, he protects her head when the kaiju's foot lands behind her. At this point in the movie, the kaiju has been walking around for like multiple hours and growing for multiple hours. And this little girl is 20 meters away from this giant monster. And she's just like twiddling her feet, looking the other way. What the fuck? It's a great shot and a great scene. He's saving a little girl. But why the fuck is she just like kicking a rock near this giant monster? It doesn't make sense. I know I'm nitpicking, but I took notes this time and I'm just reading my notes. Hawkgirl, she's just abysmal in this movie. So unlikable, terrible. Don't like Hawkgirl, she's a murderer. Her costume sucks. Don't like Hawkgirl. She's played by Isabella Merced, who was in Madam Web, who was in The Last of Us, I'm Gonna Be a Dad. I don't think she's a good actress, and she keeps getting cast in everything. Don't understand it. Sorry, Isabella Merced, I'm not trying to be nasty. Maybe you are a great actress, but you always feel like you're acting. You never feel like a character to me. I do need to apologize, because in my review, I said I had wished Superman inspired the Justice Gang to save the day at the end. And it sort of hints towards that. And I was like watching it this time, and I'm like, oh, I was wrong, because the little boy in Baravia, he puts up the Superman flag, and Green Lantern, Nathan Fillion, and Hawkgirl, and Metamorpho, they all see the flag, and they're like, Superman, that would... And I thought, oh, I didn't realize it actually was Superman that inspired them to save the day at the end. But then, Lex and Superman are chatting later in the final battle, and Superman says, I called in a favor, which means Superman had actually spoken to the Justice Gang to help get them to help in Baravia. So that takes away from them being inspired and acting on their own, which ruins what could have been a character arc for them. So I'm sort of half apologizing for that. Superman sort of inspired them and did get them to be heroes, but it would have been better if they acted on their own volition. I don't have much else to say. Civilians are stupid. Yeah, the civilians in this movie are stupid. They're just hanging around these massive world-ending events. There's a moment at the end where a building is falling, there's a lady in a car, and she's just like so casual driving along. Meanwhile, 13 skyscrapers have just fallen behind her. I don't know what you guys are like as drivers, but I notice everything. I'll notice if there's a little girl playing with a kite on the next block. You know, I'm a very alert driver. How is this woman just like, and they're in the middle of an evacuation as well, mind you, in Metropolis. She's just like, oh, come on, what's taking so long? And then not until the building is about to flatten her does she go, oh! The civilians in this movie just don't make sense. And the last thing I'll say is the credits. The cut to credits is fine. It ends on that Iggy Pop song. It's a decent song. It fits the theme of the movie. It ends with Superman smiling. I love that. That initial cut to credits is good. My issue then with the credits is you get that mid-credit scene with Superman and Krypto on the moon. Doesn't really make sense to me why you would include that as a credit scene, but whatever. My problem then is after that credit scene. There's another punk rock song that plays, and that is when people are going to really start leaving the theater. We've been conditioned to see one credit scene. The big nerds will stay for the final credit scene, but most people are leaving after your mid-credit scene. So people are walking out with this punk rock song playing like they've just watched Fight Club, and I don't think that's an appropriate way to truly leave people leaving the theater. I'm a big believer in the credits of a movie actually being important. The cut to credits, the visuals, the music. It's a very important aspect of the movie because that's your very last impression leaving a theater, is what you're hearing and what you're seeing. So when you're walking out to this terrible punk rock song, that is the last thing, the last impression leaving the theater. Not good. And that's all I've got to say. I've had enough. This is the last video I'll make about Superman. It's not a bad movie. I do apologize for how, let's say, harsh I was being in my initial reviews, even though I do think I was quite level-headed and respectful to the movie. It's better than what I made it out to be. It's by no means a terrible movie. It is also by no means what I would call a good movie. It is a mess. It is James Gunn putting his heart out there, and I respect the shit out of the man for that. I've got a lot of respect for James Gunn. He's a very good writer. He's a very good director, in my opinion. It just feels like maybe he tried to do a little bit too much in this first DC movie. But then again, he's the one doing it. He's put himself out there for it. So I'm going to get behind the man and still support him. And I think we need to stop the toxic bullshit in the comments, people. I love Man of Steel more. If you don't like Man of Steel, you don't have to tell me. I don't give a fuck. If you love this movie and think I'm an asshole, you don't have to comment and tell me. I don't give a fuck. All right? So that is all I've got to say about Superman. It isn't what I wanted it to be, and that's okay at the end of the day. I will look forward to Supergirl because Supergirl is starring Millie Alcock, my crush at the moment. Hey Millie, if you still live in Sydney and you still are single and you happen to see this video, well, I love you.